So now that we've talked about how you don't technically need to know how to read notes to play guitar here, what are some of the ways that we are going to read music? Because we are certainly going to be reading music in sort of a unique guitar way. The first thing we need to learn is how to read what are called chord blocks. I was going to have a fancy picture up here, but I thought, you know what? Let's just hold it up right here, kind of old school. Let's take a look at this chord block. Here's a chord block right here. Okay, so what is it telling us? It is showing us a picture of our guitar. These lines going vertically are your strings, and then horizontally, these are your frets. Okay, let me hold my guitar up so that you can see the way they correspond. Just like that. It is a picture of your guitar. And if you are looking down at your guitar while you're playing, that is kind of what you see, right? Is you see the vertical strings and the horizontal frets if you look down at your neck while you're holding your guitar. If this messes with you visually, spatially, you are not alone. A lot of people, really good guitar players, really intelligent people, this just confounds their brain a little bit, and I feel bad for them. Some people get it right away, some people it just messes with them. So I hope you get it right away, but if you don't, do not feel badly about it. It's important to know, but you may just have to work a little bit harder to wrap your mind around it at first. Again, I like to include you lefties. If you are left-handed, most guitar chord blocks are going to be very annoying for you because they're going to be backwards, because you will be playing the opposite this way, and everything will need to be written the opposite. So I would encourage you to look up some left-handed chord blocks. And again, I apologize for that right-handed bias. But don't worry, in our next style of reading music, it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed. So let's take a look at how we write on a chord block, okay? So here's a couple of examples that I wrote out right here. Look at this. So I'm over here. This is my 6th string right here. And there's a 0 above it. What that means is I'm just playing the open string, meaning no fingers on it. I have a number 1 written here, which is telling me I'm going to put my first finger right here. This is on the 6th string, and I am going to put it on the 2nd fret. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to put my first finger on the 2nd fret on the 5th string. And then you can see over here that it's telling me to put my 2nd finger on the 2nd fret as well, but on the 4th string. Sometimes if you look up chord blocks online, they will have the numbers written inside of the circle. Another great way to do it, but I tend to write them on top when I do them by hand. So again, I'm going to put my first finger on the 5th fret, on the 2nd fret on the 5th string, and on the 2nd fret on the 4th string. And I'm going to push them both down together, and then all the other strings you can see are 0, so they're open string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit every guitar. Right now I'm just going to use my thumb, I think, and I'm going to go like this. Pretty cool. It's an E minor chord. We'll go over the specifics of what chord is what in the near future, but just how to read a chord block. Ooh, yeah. Hope you enjoy that. That's a pretty angsty, deep, beautiful guitar sound right there. Now let's look at one other chord block, okay? Look at these X's here. That's telling me to avoid hitting those strings. So I'm going to try to not hit that 6th string. I'm going to not hit that 5th string. The 4th string is an open string, and then it's telling me where to put my fingers. This is a little harder chord. This chord is called E minor that we played here. It's a great first chord. This one is a little trickier. It's a D chord. So I'm going to put my first finger on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. My 2nd finger is going to go, I'm not going to go this way. I'm going to add them by fingers here. So first finger, and then 2nd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret on the 1st string. Okay? So it's kind of like this. And then my 3rd finger is going to split them down the middle. 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 2nd string. This is a bit of a trickier position. If you haven't played this one before, you're going to think, I got to do that? Yeah, you do. But don't worry, you'll get used to it pretty quickly. And then I'm going to come down here, and remember that we were X'd out on the 5th and the 6th string. I'm not going to play those. I'm going to start with my thumb on the 4th string. I'm going to strum down. Good sounding chord. It's a D chord. Yours may sound like this at first. That's okay. That's okay. It takes a little time. If your chord does not sound the way you want it to, it's usually because of a couple of reasons. One, you may, assuming your fingers are in the right spots, you may not have the fingers pushing the string down all the way. That could be one thing. And they can sound like this if they're not pushed down all the way. Another thing is they could be a little too far back on the frets. So they're getting a little bit like that. The other thing that may be happening is that you may be inadvertently touching another string. So if I'm playing this finger here, but I'm let's use third finger as an example. If I'm playing my third finger and it sounds good, but what if part of my finger is kind of touching this first string? It may be deadening it. So I may need to round my fingers a little bit more on the fretboard to get them to come out. Easier said than done. Try not to worry too much if your chord is not coming out perfectly. It just takes a little while. And if you're like most students, you will become borderline obsessed with getting every note to come out perfectly on your chords at first. And I would encourage you to definitely keep working at it, but don't get too hung up on it, because I promise you it will get better over time as your fingers get more accustomed to that position. So that is how to read chord blocks, one of the primary ways that you will read guitar music.